During this lesson, one of the students asks our teacher, "You told us that it is good to know 2,000 words. Where can I find these 2,000 words that are the most important for me to learn?" My teacher replies, "You can Google a list of the 2,000 most frequent words in English, but such a list will not help you much. When you start to learn words from this list, you will learn words outside the context. You will learn words that are not connected with any story. You will not learn what other words are connected with these words in sentences. You will learn them in your short-term memory. This system works only for some words. These are basic words which describe things and people around us. For example, mother, father, apple, blue, orange, dog, cat, book, car, house, city, boy, girl, water, cinema, or paper. These are words which represent something that you can imagine easily. For example, when you learn the word dog, you know immediately what it is. You have a clear idea in your head of what the word means. Yet, when you want to learn words such as appreciate or suppose, this system doesn't work well. This is a problem many students experience. They start their studying by using lists of words. It works at the beginning, and they believe that they can learn English this way. They don't know that when they achieve the level of 1,000 words, they have to start using a different system. If you want to learn words from a higher level, you have to learn them from whole sentences. If you understand the meaning of a word in the context of a sentence, you will learn the word much better. You can learn words from lists, but there is usually a limit to where you can go with this way of learning, and it is 1,000 words. Also, this way of learning is very slow. There are much better ways, which we have already spoken about, such as reading, for beginners. The best book I know of for learning new words for beginners. There is also one interesting rule that applies here. Every word that is important for you will come back to your life again and again until you learn the word. This is very similar to the way we learn our own language when we are children. We don't study from lists of words. We just use the language, and important words keep coming into our lives again and again until one day we know what the words mean. We keep learning new words this way all our lives. For example, the verb Google is a new word in many languages. We learned this word by using the language. We didn't learn this word from any list of words. When you heard the word Google for the first time, you probably didn't know what the word meant. Then you heard it again and again, as the word was important for you, and after some time, you understood the word. You can forget about lists of words. Learn new words by reading stories and other interesting texts. When you use English a lot every day, you will learn new words more effectively than from lists of words. Does it make sense? Yes, the student replies. Thank you. After school, I go to work. I already know how to do my job very well. Things start to become automatic. I'm glad that I understand my customers. It's not difficult because the conversations are typically very similar. Our customers want coffee or sandwiches, so the words are typically the same or very similar. My confidence grows, and I occasionally start to have longer conversations with our customers. Everything is fine, but then something happens. It is a little shocking to me. When learning a new word, remember it as part of a complete sentence. Something interesting happens to me at work on Tuesdays. 2 customers visit our cafe. They are husband and wife. The man begins to speak with me. I know he speaks English, but I can't understand him. I do not understand what he wants. I believe he wants something we don't have, so I call my boss. She talks to the man and sells him 2 coffees and 2 of our regular sandwiches. I'm surprised. When they leave, I go to my boss and apologize for not understanding the man. She says it is fine. According to her, this can happen when people speak with an unfamiliar accent. She tells me that they were from Scotland. The next day, I go to school and tell my teacher this story. I tell her that I felt stupid because I didn't understand our customer. I was unsure if my English was adequate for my job. I started doubting myself. My boss was fine with it, but I still needed help from my teacher. I wanted to know what I could do in these circumstances. My teacher says, I understand. You are used to the English that people speak in London, but you aren't used to the Scottish accent. Your ears aren't used to listening to the Scottish accent. You need to train your ears to this accent as well. What happened to you can happen to anyone. When you already speak English at some level and go to a country where people speak with a different accent, you shouldn't be. I follow up with, so what can I do to understand the Scottish accent? I don't live in Scotland. Our teacher advises, you can watch films with Scottish English, or you can watch situation comedies from Scotland, and soon you can understand. I tell her, thank you. After school, I return to my work. Around 5:00, 2 interesting customers enter our cafe. This time they are not Scottish, but rather foreigners. They want to purchase some coffee. They are 2 ladies, and their English is clearly basic. My boss is serving them. When she learns that they do not speak English well, she does something very interesting. She alters her English. She uses very simple sentences of 3 or 4 words. I see that the ladies understand her. They purchase 2 coffees, 2 sandwiches, and 2 cakes. They're happy, and so is my boss. When the ladies leave, I compliment my boss on how she changed her English so that the 2 ladies could understand her. My boss claims that she sometimes has to speak in very simple English. It makes no difference whether the customers can speak English well or not. They are our customers, and we must do everything possible to ensure their comfort. If they see that they can speak English here, they are welcome to visit our cafe every day. I believe that our boss is a good businesswoman. She goes above and beyond to ensure that our customers are satisfied. It is true that we have a large number of customers. Our cafe is always busy. When you want to understand people with a unique accent, spend some time listening to audio with their accent. The next day at school, I tell my teacher about my interaction with my boss and the 2 ladies who did not speak English well. Our teacher says, "Great, your boss must be a very clever young lady. It is true that you can communicate with everybody. Even people who speak English very well can have a conversation with those who are just at the beginning of their journey. Today, we will speak about different levels of English and what you should be able to do at these levels. Let's start with the lowest level of 1,000 words. At this level, students can speak about some basic things from everyday life. The speaking is very limited, but it is already possible to communicate slowly for a short time with people who want to speak with you. Your sentences are short. They usually have 4 words. If the others also speak in short sentences, you can have a basic conversation. When students move to a higher level, which is 2,000 words, the conversations are easier and the sentences are longer. This is the level most of you in this class are at right now. You should be able to speak about many things from your life. You can speak about your family, hobbies, job, and traveling. Sometimes you may have a problem when you want to go into a deeper conversation on certain topics. However, this level is usually efficient enough for everyday use of English. If you want to be able to have a deeper conversation on many topics, it is good to know 2,000 words. Your goal as a student of English who wants to be able to speak English well should be to learn 2,000 words. Of course, you can learn more than 2,000 words. The more words you know, the easier it will be for you to communicate in English. But 2,000 words is the level that is usually enough for communicating in English about almost everything. I think that the 2 ladies at your cafe knew about 1,000 words. Your boss went to their level and had a basic conversation. She speaks with the man and sells him 2 coffees and 2 of our regular sandwiches. I am surprised. When they leave, I go to my boss and tell her that I am sorry I didn't understand the man. She says that it is okay with them. After school, I go to my work. The 2 ladies come to our cafe again. They also bring 2 of their friends. It is my turn to serve them. I speak to them in simple, short sentences. They understand me. This is great. They tell me that they are tourists from Japan. They tell me that they like our cafe because people understand them here. When you want to be able to communicate in English, learn 2,000 words. On Thursday, I return to school, and one student asks a very interesting question. I am very shy when I have to speak English. Can you help me overcome my shyness? Our teacher says, it is natural to feel uncertain or shy when speaking in a foreign language. We're doing something we're not perfect at. The chances of making a mistake are high. I was also very shy when I was learning foreign languages. I remember how afraid I was to make a mistake. When I made a mistake, I felt stupid and occasionally blushed. Now things are different. I use languages to communicate. I only care about communication. You know I'm currently learning Spanish. Embarrassing situations can arise, but they cannot prevent me from speaking Spanish. It's true that I still feel shy when I have to speak Spanish. I also blush on occasion, but it doesn't bother me. It is a normal human emotion that never lasts forever. I continue to use Spanish because I know that it is the only way I can improve. I try to see things as they are. I am a student who is working on improving my Spanish skills. It is impossible to skip multiple levels in one day. A beginner cannot become a perfect speaker in 1 hour. I also understand what I mean to those around me. When I already speak some Spanish, I am valuable to those who speak it. You should observe the same. When you already speak some English, you can communicate with others in English. That's great. Look at what you already know. You know 2,000 words. You've already gone from 0 to 2,000 words. I appreciate it. Some students believe that knowing English entails being able to speak like a native speaker, having perfect pronunciation and grammar, and simply speaking without making any mistakes. They believe that if they don't do that, they don't know English. They feel embarrassed because they are not perfect. These students are extremely hard on themselves. It's not necessary. All of you are fantastic because you already speak some English. Continue working on your English and your shyness will gradually fade. I like what our teacher tells us. I'm also sometimes shy. I know that I should practice speaking a lot, but in some situations I don't want to look stupid, so I don't speak as much as I should. I decide to be a little braver in these situations and use them to practice more. Then one of the students says, "Sometimes I want to say something, but I don't know what word to say. Then I stop and have no idea what to do. In these situations, I feel extremely stupid. Then, the next time I have the opportunity to speak English, I refuse to do so because I do not want to be in this stupid situation again. Could you help me with this?" Our teacher says, "When you begin to speak English, you must be prepared for one thing. There will be times when you do not know the word you want to use. In such cases, you'll need to learn how to describe the word. This skill is extremely valuable when learning a new language. Because you are not a native English speaker, you are unlikely to know as many words as you do in your native language. I can assure you that you can describe almost any word. You only need to practice this skill. You will need to practice expressing ideas using the vocabulary you already have. For example, if you don't know how to say the word key, you can describe it as a small thing for opening a door. You also describe words in your native language without realizing it. If you don't know the word for something, you just describe it to the other person so that they understand what it is. You can do the same thing in English, but you need to train this ability. When you want to be able to describe well, use thinking aloud. The next day is Friday, and I go to school again. I am glad I go to this class, not only because of our teacher, but also because there are students from many different countries in our class, some from Europe, some from South America, one from Japan, and one from South Korea. This is good for me because the students do not speak my native language, so I must communicate with them only in English. Sophia, who is from Argentina, is a new student in our class today. At the start of the lesson, Sophia says she doesn't think she has a talent for studying languages, but she wants to work hard to improve. My teacher asks her why she thinks she doesn't have a talent. She responds, "I don't think I have a talent because my sister learns English very quickly, but it is difficult for me." Our teacher then asks the entire class, "Do you think you have a talent for learning languages?" Please raise your hand if you believe you have a talent. I look around the class, and no one raises their hands. My teacher smiles, then says, "Now I'd like to tell you something. Many people believe that learning a new language requires talent. I agree. Yes, you need talent to learn a new language, but I believe you already have it. Why do you have this talent? You have a talent because you have already learned one language, your native tongue. You were successful in learning your native language, and you speak it fluently. Everyone who can learn their native language has the ability to learn another language. Why do so many students believe they are not talented? The reason is that there are people who are extremely talented. Yes, this is true. These extremely gifted people remember new words quickly and for a long time. Perhaps you've met these people. Perhaps it is someone at work or from your family. There are few of these people, but they do exist. I believe this is Sophia's sister as well. Our teacher continues, "It is true that these super talented people exist. Learning a new language is fun for these people, and they can do it easily." Sophia says that it is true that her sister is really better than everybody else. It's a fact, and we can't change it. However, it is not a problem. The issue is that we compare ourselves to these people, and if we don't learn as quickly as they do, we believe we aren't talented. Please do not compare yourself to these extremely talented people. Yes, they are fortunate and have an advantage, but you may be fortunate as well and possess exceptional talent in other areas. Perhaps you are more talented than others when it comes to singing, swimming, tennis, counting numbers, cooking, or car repair. People are not the same. It is a beauty of the world. You can now believe that you, too, are talented, if not exceptionally so. Our teacher's words, "When you believe that you are talented, learning English will be easier for you," are very helpful to us. I know that I am talented at playing football and tennis, and now I know that I am also talented at learning English. What is also great is that there is a school party in the evening, which I really look forward to. I know that some girls from our class will be there, and I hope that our new student Sophia will be there as well. On Monday, I return to school, and our teacher inquires about the Friday school party. One student reports that it was fantastic, that we had a lot of drinks and a lot of fun, and that the girls from our class also had a good time. I had a good time at the party because Sophia was there, and I could talk to her and dance with her. There were also 2 boys from my football team who were from Brazil, and their English skills were basic. I know some students who are at a much higher level but have difficulty speaking. My teacher says, "This is very interesting. I can tell you that the 2 boys on your football team demonstrated what every student should do. The boys used what they knew. They were only concerned with what was truly important, which was communication." Then one girl asks, "So, what should we do if we want to speak English fluently? Should we attend parties and make jokes?" My teacher says, "First, let me define fluent speaking. Many students believe that fluent speaking entails speaking quickly, using a large vocabulary, and using perfect grammar. However, there is a more appropriate definition of fluent speaking. Fluent speaking involves speaking without taking long pauses. Some can do it at 1,000 words, while others can do it at 2,000 words. However, some people know 2,000 words but cannot speak fluently. If you want to speak fluently, you must practice speaking. There is no other way to increase your fluency. Speaking is a physical activity. It's like playing a musical instrument. If you want to play the violin, you must develop the connection between your brain and the muscles in your fingers. When you want to speak clearly, you must train the connection between your brain and the muscles in your mouth. If the connection between your brain and your mouth is not regularly trained, you will be unable to speak fluently. No matter how many words you know, you can't complain about not being able to speak fluently unless you practice speaking frequently. Perhaps you've had this experience. You meet a foreigner who wants to speak with you in English. You want to express ideas in your head, but are unable to do so. You can't find the right words. Then when you finish the conversation and replay it in your head, you realize you know the right words, but the conversation has already ended. Why do you encounter such situations? Because you have little training. Your speaking is not automatic. It's not automatic because you don't practice it frequently enough. When you want to speak fluently, I recommend at least 30 minutes per day. You can speak with a real person. If you don't have a real person to talk to, try thinking aloud. It is necessary to think aloud, rather than just in your head. You must practice the connection between your brain and muscles. You can accomplish this by thinking aloud. Does it make sense? Yes, says the girl. If you want to speak fluently, practice for 30 minutes every day. At the next lesson, one of the students asks an interesting question. Next week, I'll be going home. I would like to continue studying in my home country. I'm not sure how to choose a good school there. Could you help me? How do I know whether the school is good or not? My teacher says, "This is an excellent question. I believe that if you read, listen, and speak frequently, you do not need to attend school. You will learn English naturally by using it. However, if you want to pay for your education, a good teacher can help you learn more quickly." There, you can see how many words you know. After 5 lessons at the new school, take the test again to see how many new words you learned. If you are satisfied with your progress, you can continue to pay for your lessons. It's also important that you enjoy each lesson and look forward to the next. Every English-related activity should be enjoyable. I also offer private lessons via Skype. If you're interested, I can teach you using Skype. If you don't find a good school in your town, you can contact me and I can help you. This is great, says the student. I want to have private lessons with you via Skype. This is great news for me because I didn't know that it was possible to have a private lesson with my teacher. I'll be returning to my country soon, and I want to have private lessons with my teacher. When you go to school, you have to see your progress and enjoy every lesson. It is Wednesday, and I return to school. At the start of the next lesson, Monica has a question for my teacher. How do you know all of this? Where did you get your information about studying languages? Our teacher says, there are numerous methods for learning and teaching languages. The first one is experience. I've been teaching for more than 7 years. I have years of experience. When I teach you, I observe what works and what doesn't, and I only use the things that work. I also look up language learning resources on the internet. When I discover something interesting, I try it in one of my classes. If it works, I use it in every other class. There is another way I gather information. It usually occurs when I have a question but cannot find an answer. During these times, I go to my magic park and find the answer there. Monica tells my teacher, "This is intriguing. How do you get the answers in Magic Park? Where is the Magic Park? Can we go there too?" My teacher says, "What I'm going to tell you isn't true for everyone. I'm sorry if this sounds crazy. However, you requested it, so I am providing an answer. I believe that if you ask the universe a question, it will provide an answer." When I have a question, I visit the Magic Park. I sit on a bench. I unwind my body. I slow down my breathing and try to clear my mind. Then I ask the question. This is all. Sometimes the answer appears as a new idea in my head. Sometimes someone I speak with later tells me something that helps me find the answer. Sometimes I watch an interesting video on the internet and discover the answer there. Sometimes the answers arrive the next morning when I wake up. What's interesting is that the responses keep coming. I am extremely grateful for them. As I previously stated, you are under no obligation to believe what I am saying, but this is what I do and how it works for me. The park isn't far from here. It is a 10-minute walk. A lot of people visit the park to relax. It's beautiful. It has a very pleasant atmosphere. I call it a magic park because it is magical for me. My teacher's words are very interesting for me. I didn't know that people can ask the universe for answers. Maybe in the future, when I have an interesting question, I can go to the park and ask for an answer. When you have a problem, ask for help. The next day, one girl asks our teacher an intriguing question. "Thank you for the information you are providing us on how to learn English. Could you provide us with a summary of what we can do every day to improve our English skills?" Our teacher says, "Okay, I'll try to give you a simple summary. If you want to speak English well, you must do 3 things: read, listen, and speak. That is something you already know. What is important is that you complete all 3 activities in approximately the same amount of time. If you leave one out, your progress will be slower. Based on my experience, I believe it is critical to practice English for at least 90 minutes every day. You do not need to study, but you should use English actively. Now I'll go over each activity in more detail. Let's start by reading. You should read at least 30 minutes per day. It's the minimum. Do not read to learn English. Read for new information. Read to discover an intriguing story. I know I keep repeating this information, but it is extremely important. Then you should listen to English for at least 30 minutes per day. Again, it should be something you're interested in. You should enjoy receiving the information. You should start with simple audiobooks or news. Then you should progress to a higher level of books and news. When you know 2,000 words, you should start watching movies and videos online. Then you should speak. You are already aware of the importance of speaking when studying English. Again, it is critical to communicate for at least 30 minutes per day. Of course, the best way is to speak with real people. It could be your teacher, classmates, co-workers, or friends. Try to find someone who speaks English at your level or slightly better and speak with them. However, even if you have no one to speak to, shadowing and thinking aloud can provide you with plenty of speaking practice every day. When I am learning Spanish, I frequently use these techniques. I don't have any native Spanish speakers in my life who I could meet every day, so I use these two methods to improve my Spanish. As you can see, studying English is quite simple. All you need to do is read, listen, and speak. This is all. Now you know how to do it. Thank you, says the girl. This is exactly what I needed to hear. You are the best. I am also very glad that the girl asked this question. It is my last day at school, and I needed some kind of summary of what I can do on my own. During the 4 weeks I have spent with my teacher, I have learned a lot, and I have also improved my English very much. My teacher knows that this is my last day at school, and she asks me if I want to say anything to the other students in the class. I say that I was very happy to be a part of this class, and I met. I've been using English every day for a year now, and I've learned 4,000 words thanks to my teacher's techniques. I've also started teaching English to beginners who only know 500 words, which is a good thing for me because I know I need a lot of practice before I can teach at higher levels. I have a great advantage in my new job. I had a great teacher in London who taught me a lot.